Hi everyone, welcome to myself, Max MacGillivray, for our weekly vlog. Really interesting one today. We've been invited to speak to Christine Tacon about her current activities, and she's hosted an event in central London. Let's catch up with her and see what she's got to say. Excellent. So Christine, thank you very much for allowing me to record this for you. I know a lot about you, but I expect there's quite a few people who don't know you and your background. What is your background?
Well, I started off life as a chartered engineer. I read engineering at Cambridge, and my first job was in high precision zinc die casting.
Good grief.
And I joined Coates Viella because it was a business that made clothes, thinking I understand clothes, I can go and do that. But they put me in the part of the business that made the zip heads.
No.
And by then the technology had evolved, and they used this technique for making car parts. So actually I worked for them in Germany, and then I worked for them in the UK, and I worked for them in Japan and in France, but all on the same machine, making these high precision zinc die casting parts.
Okay.
But midway through I started doing an MBA.
Okay.
And in that thought, actually it was a part-time one, I thought I think I might have joined the wrong business, and I applied to Mars Confectionery, and I worked there as a production planner, and they fished me out and put me in marketing, where I spent most of my career at Mars. And from there I did various other jobs. I've also spent 4 years in fast-moving consumer goods as the marketing and sales director for Anchor, now Fonterra.
Yep.
And I was happily there when I was headhunted to come and work for the Co-op's farming business. But I was there for 11 years and began to feel I've got stuck. So that's why I sort of launched out and decided I would sort of start a portfolio career. So ever since then I've been doing portfolios of non-executive directorships, and then this 3-day-a-week Groceries Code Adjudicator job.
So how long have you held the position of Grocery Code Adjudicator?
Well, I started in 2013,
okay,
and it was initially a 4-year appointment, and I've extended it for another 3 years. So I'm in place now till June 2020.
Okay, and have you seen much of a difference from when you started to present day with the work that you've done?
I think what I'd rather say is, have suppliers noticed the difference?
Okay.
I've wanted to be measured all along by the fact that people say there's a difference happened. I have the powers to investigate. I have the powers to fine up to 1% of retailer turnover.
Yep.
$500 million for Tesco.
Yep.
But that's, I don't want to be measured by how many investigations and how many fines. I want my suppliers to tell me that things are better.
Yep.
And I doubt you could find a grocery supplier in the UK that hasn't said that things have got better.
Absolutely.
You know, I sometimes I hear about something, they tell me about it, I mention it to the retailer, and all of a sudden the retailer's policy's changed.
Excellent.
And so it's like nudging all the time.
There's a lot of students who watch this vlog. Could you just summarise what your role actually is, so they have a full understanding?
Yeah. Well, following 2 Competition Commission inquiries into whether the retailers were passing too much risk to their suppliers, the first one, they actually said there's nothing really going wrong here because consumers are doing really well out of this. Competition Commission's there to protect consumers, not to protect suppliers. And they said there's nothing wrong if consumers are getting great prices, and there was uproar, people saying you've got to intervene. So they had another investigation, and this time they concluded that there was a risk, that so much risk or pressure and risk was being put on suppliers that small suppliers would go out of business, large suppliers would stop innovating, and therefore there would be less consumer choice. So they made the link to consumers that way. They wrote a code covering all of the things they find, nothing to do with price. Things like, I'm embarrassed to talk about some of the things that used to go on, but not paying people, varying agreements mid-contract, delisting without notice, charging for consumer complaints, but charging much more than it actually cost the business to handle them. So it came a little profit centre. All sorts of things the Competition Commission came across, and they put it in a legally binding code that became law in February 2010. And then there was another wave of opinion. They asked for a voluntary ombudsman, and all the retailers, apart from Waitrose, said it wasn't needed. Another groundswell, people saying suppliers are far too nervous to raise these things with retailers. We need to have, we need to have an ombudsman. And I think when it was a Labour Party idea, it was an ombudsman, and when it was a Tory Party idea, it was an adjudicator. But anyway, whatever happened, it came into law in June 2013.
Yep.
And that then gave me the powers to investigate, to fine, and to arbitrate.
Yep.
But the powers to fine was actually set at, I had to make a recommendation what the maximum level should be within 6 months.
Okay.
And I did the recommendation of maximum level of 1% of turnover. and it took them 15 months to actually implement it, by which time I'd launched the Tesco investigation.
Wow.
So I had no fining powers on
Okay.
the Tesco investigation.
Understood.
But because I'm not doing this role to investigate and I'm not doing it to fine, I'm doing it to improve things, I work with all the retailers. I meet they all have to have a code compliance officer.
Yep.
I meet with them every quarter. I meet with the chief execs. I meet with the chairs of the audit committees. And at any one time, I tried to make sure I had no more than 5 issues at a time, because there were just so many coming at me. And I have a supplier survey every year around March,
Absolutely.
April time,
Yep.
get about 1,000 responses. And that's what tells me what the issues are, whether the issues are improving. And honestly, I can tell you every year from the survey, every single issue I've been working on has been declining in incidence.
Okay.
And we've gone from 8 out of 10 people saying there was a potential breach in the previous year to 4 out of 10. And the biggest issue being forensic auditing, which was about 48% people saying they had issues with it. The biggest issue is now delay in payments, which is 19%. But it's much more about drop and drive.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I said I sent 100. The retailer said they sent 98. Who's right?
Yeah, okay.
Those are the sorts of issues
Okay.
people still have.
Okay, so if you've done the job since 2013 and you've done an exceptional job to get where you are, is your job now done?
Well, I've got another 15 months in the job.
Yeah, not irrespective of the duration of your actually contracted role, have you done as much as you can do, or is there more for you to do?
Well, I've just reported on the co-op investigation, and that was quite. For me, it's a step change, because everything else I've been looking at is you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do this.
Yep.
The co-ops one is much more about all of these things went wrong, but my recommendations are about corporate governance.
Yep.
Auditing, making sure that the retailers themselves are auditing whether these things are working, making sure that the training is adequate, such that buyers, if they're asked to do something that they're thinking, I don't know how I can do that in a code compliant way, will be escalating it, and that they will be responding when they hear things from suppliers that things are wrong, they're actually going in to have a look. So the co-op report, I think, has taken it to a new level of actually putting much more onus on the retailers, making sure they have got the processes and the policies and the audits, absolutely that, and the governance to make sure that these things go. And all of the retailers that have improved, so Tesco's gone from near the bottom of the survey in terms of compliance to practically at the top. Morrison's have zoomed up, Asda have zoomed up.
Excellent.
All of them have taken a very different approach when they realised things were wrong to... Right, we're going to have to put a team together. We're going to have to address this. We're going to have to do things differently. So that's what I've now embedded.
And especially with the co-op situation, that's a wake-up call to anyone that hasn't got to that level of accreditation governance within their retailer.
Yes,
Okay.
and also because I'm now getting new retailers, because Ocado and B&M have been designated, then it really helps them rather than for them have to go through all of this process. So there's an awful lot for them to catch up. But yes, that governance bit is the new bit.
And is your door always open for suppliers who want to talk to you?
I sometimes get very, very cross with suppliers and just say, look, I am here to fix the things that you've got, the problems you've got. How am I supposed to know what they are if you don't tell me? Yep. And I find that I generally have to go to suppliers to get to find out what's going on. It's really helpful. If you go look at the Morrison's case study, I heard that they were asking for payments to close half-year figures, which were retrospective requests, not allowed.
Yep.
Rang Dave Potts, whole thing stopped overnight. They did a huge investigation. They found out everybody that had been asked for money, everybody had paid any money, they paid it all back. They demonstrated to me that that they'd sorted it, couldn't happen again, and it became a case study, not an investigation. But being told about something at the minute it's going wrong is really valuable to me, because I can stop it in its tracks. And actually I heard about something with another retailer so fast that actually I was told I couldn't even make it into a case study by my lawyer because no money had changed hands. It had just been a request that it stopped.
Right, okay. The work that you've done since 2013 is amazing, and we all owe you, on the supplier side, a big thank you. And keep it going.
Well, I have to say, I really enjoy it. You know, my background as an engineer and being on the other side and being in farming, being in Mars, being in Anchor and working for the co-op, I just wanted to come and make a difference.
Excellent. And final question, what's your favourite fresh produce?
It's really boring. It's just avocado.
Fantastic. Christine, thank you very much.
Thank you.